welcome back. Welcome back. It is just a quarter past the top of the hour, high noon Eastern here in New York. Coming to you live as we do every day, Monday to Friday, from the Question Tequila Studios. We're at Newsmax headquarters in Midtown Manhattan. Downtown at the New York Stock Exchange, things are on a roll today. Market up about 150 points, well above that 27,000 level, which I've been saying for weeks. If we close above 27 for a weekend, that puts it on another rocket shot to higher levels, maybe 28, 29 very soon. Keep your eyes peeled. And Bitcoin up about $200 today, 11.5. Recently was almost 13,000, or a little over 13,000 pullback. But now that Trump said he doesn't like it, I suspect all the media will like it. So I think Bitcoin could be, it's on its way up also. When for a Friday, when you want to raise the show even more, you bring in, for to mix it up, a great Republican, a great Democrat, humorist, writer for Newsmax, author, comedian, health advocate, Rob Taub joins us back again on the show. How are you, Rob? And of course, don't hassle the Hoff. Rich Hoffman, Republican strategist, former staffer to Congressman Michael Grimm. Guys, thanks for joining us on this Friday edition.
Good to be here.
Pleasure to be here, John.
It's hot out, and you guys are doing us a great service by being here. We like to demonstrate our bipartisanship by letting people hear real conversation with real people. So first and foremost, I guess Paul Ryan finally got the nerve up that he should have had a couple of years ago, and he's lashing out, in his new book. And Trump, of course, doesn't back down to anyone. He just rips Ryan apart. That was my phone.
I didn't think it could be mine, John.
That was my phone.
It's like, have I made my first mistake ever on television?
What's up with this Paul Ryan mess now?
You're asking me? I'm going to defend Paul Ryan. I'm going to do that because there's nothing wrong with Paul Ryan.
Oh, okay.
Paul Ryan has done the right thing. He said, Donald Trump knows nothing about governance. I'm out of here. He did that at the right time. I think he's realizing, my God, I've got to speak the truth.
Rich is boiling over already.
Paul Ryan is the epitome of everything that was wrong with the Republican Party before Donald Trump came onto the scene. Paul Ryan is essentially a Chamber of Commerce, old school Republican. And as a leader, the man had no backbone. He had no instincts of where the actual electorate was. And quite frankly, I wish Trump had figured this out earlier and had spent the first 2 years of his presidency working on the things that he actually ran on infrastructure, building the wall, things like that, instead of essentially taking what was the old GOP playbook of wasting time on repealing Obamacare and cutting taxes, and letting Paul Ryan run the agenda, which was a big mistake.
I'm glad you brought up infrastructure. I don't think Donald Trump could build a house out of Lego pieces. I really don't. He hasn't proven to me that he's capable of legislating anything. And I do think infrastructure should have been the first thing he went after. If he's a builder, if he's this brilliant builder, why didn't he do that?
Infrastructure should have been the first thing.
Okay.
But he made the mistake of listening to
people
like Paul Ryan.
I think Trump blames everything on everybody else. He has never been able to say 5 words together. I am sorry, I was wrong. Or is that 6?
Well, I think he might have said something like that by releasing Acosta yesterday. I mean, I know he supported him, but I said on the show, as soon as he said this guy's a great labor secretary, I love him.
Well, that's usually his kiss of death.
Right, that means he's gone momentarily.
He's the best. He's great. Goodbye.
Was that your Trump impression?
Yes, I thought it was pretty good. No, wait a minute, John. I think I'm doing Teddy Kennedy now.
So, in other news, Richard was down as a staffer to Congressman Grimm from Staten Island, New York, and Congressman Grimm's replacement, Max Rose, who I've been critical of. He voted to allow illegal aliens to vote, which was a sinister move in my view, but I got to give credit where credit's due. He was carrying the ball and carrying the water as hard as he could for extending the Victims' Compensation Fund. That bill's going to pass, and I give Max Rose credit for that. But here's Max Rose on Mitch McConnell, and you guys tell me what you think.
Just think about this for a second, okay? Donald Trump runs on a series of platforms, making our roads and bridges great again, draining the swamp. He proceeds to ignore all those proposals. Mitch McConnell continues to show an unbelievable sociopathic intransience whenever it comes to any legislation that we pass in the House and present to him in the Senate.
Is Mitch a sociopath, Rich?
No, he's the leader of the Senate. The leader controls the floor. It's a separate body from the House. And if he doesn't want to take nonsensical legislation that the Democratic majority is going to send across the Capitol, he doesn't have to. It doesn't make you a sociopath. It makes you the leader of the Senate.
Rob?
Yeah, I agree. I mean, he's behaving like a politician. He's behaving like a politician, not a sociopath. I think a sociopath like Dr. Hannibal Lecter would have done something more sneaky and conniving and really might have even executed some policy or something. I just think Mitch McConnell and most of today's politicians are going for their own self-interest and behaving not in the favor of the people, but for their own self-interest.
So you don't think Mitch McConnell eats a kidney with some fava beans and a nice Chianti?
I hope not.
Clarice.
No, Rose is being ridiculous here and over the top, and it's part of this game that Max Rose likes to play, where he pretends he's above the fray. He's nonpartisan. He's just there to work hard. He's a partisan Democrat, just like all the other of them. And a lot of people are starting to see through this little game that he's playing, especially back home, back on Staten Island.
Yeah, and oddly enough, I actually watch MSNBC in the morning. I get up at 6 and I start getting my thoughts together for the show, and I call it Morning Joke. Because you should be on there because you're a pretty good humorist.
They won't allow me
yourself.
on that show because I was once on Fox News, and
right.
I've been banned from MSNBC.
I find that show funny because originally during the Republican primary in 2015, 2016, Mika and Joe, they had Trump on all the time. They were carrying his water, and then when he wins, they all of a sudden turn on. It's like
Yeah, I'll tell you something funny. I interviewed Roger Stone maybe a month or so back, and Stone told me that Mika and Joe were down at Mar-a-Lago drinking with Trump and hanging out at the pool, and they were like buddy. And I guess somewhere in there, Stone tells me that Scarborough was angling to try to be vice president.
Doesn't surprise me.
And when that got shut down, all of a sudden, then the floodgates opened.
I do think that they were integral in getting Trump elected, because Joe was on every day saying, my brother is a small businessman, he's very successful, he's supporting you, Donald. And Trump was on for 45 minutes every day on the telephone with them, and I think they swayed a lot of voters for him.
I think they did. I mean, I was watching all the time, like, wow, this is crazy.
I think part of it could be that after he won, they were like, well, our audience is going to turn on us, so they really think we helped get him elected, so that's why they had to make this major turn to
Donald Trump
keep
also
their jobs.
He did insult both of them and said that she had a facelift and she was bleeding from her eyes. Well, she may have, but
she looks good. But I mean,
many of us could use a facelift. At least she went ahead and got one.
I could use an everything lift. I mean, everything's hanging down on me at this point. 52 years old. It's all coming apart.
Go see my doctor, Dr. Vinny Bumbatz.
I tell you, this Vinny Bumbatz over here, he's all screwed up.
We got 3 guys from Staten Island here.
I went to see Dr. Vinny Bumbatz. He put his hand on my knee. He hit me in the nuts with a hammer. I love Rodney. He's so good. So
we're digressing, John.
We are. I want to ask you, Rich. You see, now Frank Brown's not here. He'd be having a stroke because he always warns me about overuse of the bell. But every time
Frank's not here.
I used to work at a hotel. I feel like
ring the bell. Let's get Rich. Let's get Frank.
It's
really annoyed today.
It's like crack.
We're ringing the bell, Frank. Okay, and you're on. Frank's on assignment, but he'll be back next week, hopefully. But Rich, you guys, when you were in the congressman's office, you guys, of course, were working all the time to extend the Victims' Compensation Fund, to make sure the first responders and people around there got taken care of. I know you worked on that cause. I'm critical of Max Rose, but you think he did a good job on this?
Yeah, he did. But, I mean, it's nothing out of the ordinary. Any representative from this district would be 110% to extend the Victims' Compensation Fund. This is not some act of political bravery that he's engaged in here. But, yeah, he did a good job on it. I'm not going to discredit him for it.
Yeah, I mean, as New Yorkers, there's definitely a lingering effect. My brother worked just a couple of blocks away from the World Trade Center. He lived a couple blocks away. Perfectly healthy guy. A couple years ago, he found out he had cancer, and he thinks it's related to that. And we worked in the stock market where they told us like 5 days later, it's fine. Everybody go back to work. So there was this one provision in there that was going to sunset in 2020, and I think, every day more people are figuring out, holy crap, like this might be from that. And I guess it's a hard cause to vote against, right? Like if you vote against
it's going to be some maybe very rural Republicans in some areas of the country. There's some still lingering anti-New York bias, but it's going to fly through the House with overwhelming numbers.
So, Rob, is it true? Is it true that you MSNBC won't let you on?
That's what I was told a number of years ago. I haven't been pursuing trying to get on there. Occasionally send them an email or two.
You're not left enough for them. You just agreed with the Republicans.
I also have some disagreements with Reverend Al, who's a regular on Morning Joe. And Steve Ratner is the only person other than Donald Trump, and Donald Trump unblocked me. Steve Ratner has blocked me for challenging him about Obamacare.
Reverend Al is the incredible shrinking man. I ran into him a few weeks in the Havana Club. He was over there smoking cigars. Head's but this big, his body's getting smaller and smaller every time I see him.
He's going to have a diet book out soon.
Is he? No, he isn't. Oh, man. You know what? I used to be on CNBC, okay, and give a market commentary. And when I was critical of Obama right after his election, CNBC was suddenly coaching me to not be so critical of the president. And I'm an independent. I'm a libertarian. I'm not a Republican or a Democrat. I'm saying, wait a minute. You're asking me to talk about financial news, but are you coaching me what to say here? Well, we're not coaching you, but you can't be so critical. Why? Why can't I be critical? That's what people are saying. That's what I'm doing. Shortly thereafter, my Money Talk segment on Wednesdays was canceled. So there might be some.
I'm sure it's just a coincidence.
No, I don't think it. Well, yeah, I mean, maybe I was a terrible performer.
How was your market prognostication?
My market prognostication is good. I predicted the Dow was going to go to 27,000 a couple weeks ago. I predicted Bitcoin would be over 10,000.
I've got a very good charity, John. It's called Central Associated Special Hospital, CASH for short. If you write me a check for that, it's going to go far.
We do not give out financial advice. This is for entertainment purposes only. Do not invest in anything because I said it. Whatever I'm saying, I'm already drinking, so don't take it that seriously, but do your own homework. We're going to take a quick break. I'll give you a quick update on the markets, which are still raging at this point. And Rob Taub and Rich Hoffman are going to join us again right after this. You stay there. We'll be here. Liquid Lunch back in 2.